Is that there? It goes. So, hi. Been since last Tuesday night since I was able to stream. Uh, Today is actually my wedding anniversary, and I'm here streaming with you guys. I've already ruined the evening for my wife, unfortunately. We won't get into that, but uh, I love my wife. She's the best. We get into this a little bit. Fortunately, we celebrated this weekend and had a great time. Today, this evening went a little rough because outside forces as usual. Uh, but I figure do a little decompressing, do some color work on this Fantastic Four piece I started I don't know, maybe it was a month ago at this point. I hadn't worked on it since the last time I streamed, so I kind of forgot how far along I was, and so I probably won't be on too long tonight, as I mentioned, being the anniversary. I want to go try and salvage what I can. uh, so I figure I am going to maybe go ahead and do some knockouts and stuff on this to help push it along a little further. I got detail stuff I need to do and faces and whatever that still need to be done, but I think right now I just want to kind of push this more into a more complete looking piece. So first things first. Oh yeah, I want to make sure my anti-alias is off because I don't, being I'm going to be affecting the lines and stuff. I don't want that little bit of I don't know what you call blurring of the edge of my selection, or I don't know what you call that. It's not feathering because it's so minute, but that slight softening of the edge. I don't want that. So I want to make sure that's turned off. It's not too often I actually have it turned on anymore. Most of the time I can keep it turned off so I can avoid that coming into play and whenever I forget to turn it off. So I try to not have it on too often, but every now and again it is good to use it. We see there's a little bit of line art floating up here. I don't want that to be red. I don't really want it on the piece to begin with, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. Yeah, see, making the lines a color as opposed to staying black just kind of gives a lot of instant production value on the piece. So that's kind of what I want to focus on right now, and I'm using what's called a clipping mask. So I don't actually affect the line art itself, which that's how I used to do it up until I guess it's been about a year now when a friend of mine showed me this technique. So pretty happy to learn about it. Saves me a little time and effort in the end. That is very true. That is very true. Hopefully that cover will come in pretty soon. I was actually I was actually really hoping I'm expecting a couple pages in. I was told this week. I was hoping I'd get some today because I need to have them colored by the beginning of next week, and there's a whole mess of stuff going on. But yeah, that cover you mentioned, it finished. I'll pull it up. I didn't do too much afterwards. I actually reversed the lighting on the buildings, which I think ended up working better. So that's the final there as it stands, at least until the other covers come in, and then I may manipulate it a little more. But what I think what's going to end up happening is I will duplicate the lines of the city for the next piece and mirror them. Uh, I'll have to recolor it because obviously the lighting would be wrong, because otherwise, this is being lit from this direction. If I mirror the building colors on the other side, it'd be lit from that direction, and that would be right. So yeah, I'll do a little bit of rework, but yeah, this one came along pretty well. It's the first and only time I've ever done the Twin Towers, and I feel a little weird about it, to be honest. Like we were talking about, like, oh, we'll do like fire sky and this and that, and kind of take a lot of artistic liberties, and that event is so just seared into my brain that it seems wrong to kind of misrepresent it. So yeah, it's one of those. I think the piece came out fine in the end, and I think all the covers together it'll be pretty awesome. But kind of hope I never have to do that scene again. It's just mentally, it's not something I really prepared for. You know, maybe especially since it's so close to the anniversary. Yeah, exactly. And I'm not against using it as part of a story if and when that arises. I don't see that. I mean, there's all kinds of tragic events that are used as part of stories. So I mean, I'm not saying, hey, you can't do that. I just hope I don't have to be part of it in the future. I the piece is fine. I just not something I like reliving or thinking about. So here's hoping I don't have to do another piece like that after these covers are finished. But you never know. Never say never, I guess, right? Yeah, yeah, that was I read the first few issues of it, and I think Garth Ennis is an incredible writer, but there are definitely projects and times where he goes pretty far, and as crazy as the TV show is, that first season, like that's not even like half as nuts as he goes in the comic. So it's just like little cray cray. Wasn't too much my cup of tea, you know. The boys. I did get the chance to work with Derek Robertson on a comic comic called Prototype. That was a licensed comic based upon the video game called Prototype. Derek was the penciler on it, and he was inked by Matt Jacobs, and I was the colorist on it. And that was pretty interesting. Like, you know, Derek's an icon. Derek Robertson. He's an icon in comics. He has some seminal work. So it was cool getting to work with him. But yeah, no, I don't. I didn't really want to do the boys. Yeah, the show isn't even close. Yeah, and Simon Pegg. I actually forgot that they actually modeled the main character on Simon Pegg. I'd forgotten that until you mentioned that. The lasso work is kind of tedious. It's not exactly the most interesting thing to watch, but as you can see, it does add quite a bit of production value. So I hope y'all will bear with me while I do these. I figure if I do them in the long run, it'll make for a more interesting visual for you guys to look at as opposed to not doing it. There'll be a more significant change quicker than if I say just render her face. Like you can see her face, but yeah, 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 yeah. It's with Boom, not Dynamite. I think it's Boom. He's co-created, and I think, from my understanding, I think he's like helped plot the story, and then they have Matt Kint, Matt Kunt, Kind, kind. I don't know. I think he's actually writing the comic. You can't really expect Keanu Reeves to know how to write a comic book. But yeah, I think it's an idea he created or came up with, and I don't know how he got involved with Boom, but yeah, I didn't know it was coming. I know they launched a Kickstarter like today or whatever. Uh, but yeah, no, it'd be interesting. I kind of wish I was coloring it, just so I could be like, bro, I work with Keanu. But it is what it is. I didn't know it came out. I know they did the Kickstarter today, but did it actually come out in stores? I don't have a clue. Yeah, it seems that some people are getting kind of uppity that companies like Boom and Top Cow and else are starting to turn to Kickstarter to fund or get extra funding for projects, and I don't know why people are upset by that. Honestly, there's a whole wide marketplace of people that buy their comics almost exclusively from Kickstarter. Either they don't have a store near them or don't go for some such reason. I mean, why should anybody kind of deny themselves from that marketplace? You know, I don't. I'm not mad at it. I don't know why people are mad at it. There's other more important things to be mad about than a comic book company trying to make money off a comic book that doesn't make you a lot of comic book doesn't make you a lot of money to begin with, because comic books don't make you tons of money. So get it where you can, right? Oh wow, it's at 216. I saw it was like 153 earlier today. like 153,000, and it was when I looked, it was actually like right neck and neck with the Scott Snyder comic that he's currently doing on Kickstarter, which is like also like 153, 154,000. So that's interesting that you know 216,000 already in day one. It's Keanu, man. He's more popular than anybody else making comics, so it's not totally surprising. Though, it's the John Wick comic ain't doing business like that because, he's not actually involved in it. Whereas I think that he's actually involved in this one in some capacity, so that makes it more appealing to people. I gotta admit, I'm interested. I can't say I'm not interested. I totally am. Whether or not I'll back it is another thing. I probably won't just because uh, funds and stuff, but I'd definitely be interested in checking it out. Oh wow. Yeah, that I mean they only announced this book maybe a month ago. So like I don't imagine that they're actually done with it, just knowing how comic book companies work. So if I'm understanding you right, they're yeah, I could be misunderstanding it. That's not the first time that's happened, even today. Uh, I'm guessing they're probably shipping the books as they're done, so it would take a few shipments, unless everybody's wanting to get it all at the end, and I don't know. Especially with a project that's not done, they're gonna be releasing monthly in stores. If that's the case, like yeah, send it to me as you release them, because you know people are gonna get mad if they back it, don't have it in hand, and they can go to a store and see it there on the shelf. So, oh yeah, I believe it, bro. I just after just going through my shipping fiascos with uh with my Kickstarter, my big box tier where people got all the covers, all the issues of all the issues of Sasquatch. So it's 3 issues. There was a total of 11 comics plus the merchandise and plus like 4 or 5 other graphic novels I worked on. The box was 6 pounds, and to ship it internationally, because I had 2 people in Canada, to ship it to Canada, the post office wanted $57, and Canada's cheaper than Europe. So yeah, $100 to ship to Europe, depending on how they're packaging. I totally get it, especially if they're shipping it, making 3 shipments. It went down to I ended up switching over to UPS, which was another headache, but it ended up being cheaper. And shipping the 6 pound box to Canada was $31. So if they're doing 3 shipments, even if they do UPS, they're spending $30 a pop. You know, that's gonna be $100 because you got to figure it's not just the shipping. You got to pay to have the boxes, packing material, all that stuff. All that stuff costs. It doesn't come. So that's that makes sense to me. Having literally just gone through it. So I get people not wanting to spend that. I mean, I wouldn't want to spend it either. I guess I don't know if they're offering exclusive variants or content on the Kickstarter than they are in stores. I mean, the other option was just go to a comic store and buy it when it comes out in comic store. So I mean, that's I don't know. Like you're into it a little more than I am. I haven't had time to look as it just launched today. Like I'm interested in it. So what you're telling me is good stuff. I appreciate that because I'm definitely into it. But like I'm even looking for my current Kickstarter I'm building that I'll launch later this month. Uh, I will be offering skateboards again, and I'm not even gonna offer that to worldwide. It's just gonna be U.S. only, just because I don't want to deal with the crazy shipping that it would cost to do that. You know, getting the right box is hard enough. I think I don't want to have to worry about it going overseas, and one, it's a high ticket item and it's going to be heavy and it's going to be hard to ship. Like, yeah, that's going to be US only just to avoid this exact situation. Yeah, that's a so they're offering a hardcover. Maybe that's what everybody's wanting. I don't know. Maybe they're doing the Kickstarter as a hardcover and everything else is soft in stores. I don't know. Hardcovers are pretty cool, but you know, I would love to do a hardcover for my book. Just kind of a it's kind of a prestige thing. It's just it's dope. I will admit, reading a soft cover is easier. Hardcovers are just cool. All right, so you see, we almost got the fire. They're called color holds or knockouts. I was when I first started, I was told they were called knockouts, but everybody else under the sun in the coloring business calls them color holds. Uh, Makes sense. I like the word knockouts. I think it's I just like the way it's quick, it's easy, it's fun, and it referred to like the way we used to do it, where we would literally knock out the lines. We would select the lines and then we would. Oh, dude, yeah. I don't even think it's. Dude, that Earthworm Jim and Bigfoot Bill, like I've got the first book of both. They're actually beautiful books, man. I'm actually not a huge fan of the gold edged pages, like the like that doesn't do anything for me, uh, personally. But the books are awesome. I actually love the packaging of the books and the products more than I actually love the story. So take that for what it's worth. It's not bad. I don't know what I was hoping for. I think Earthworm Jim could have been edited down. That story, the story told in like the 160 pages, probably could have been done in about 40, maybe 60. It could have just knocked it out a lot faster and moved on to more. Just my personal opinion. I could be totally wrong. But yeah, the packaging on those books is stunning. Like they're probably the nicest comics I've ever had, including all the absolute editions, which I've always loved the absolute editions. I've got several of them. Those are phenomenally gorgeous books. But yeah, Doug Tenapple kind of knocked it out the park with those products. And he was the first one. I think you and I were talking about the custom boxes, custom printed boxes. Dude, this is the this is the Earthworm Jim box. It's freaking gorgeous. I love it. I can't bring myself to throw it away. It's amazing. I just like the box. I want to do that too. It's not cheap. It's not cheap to do that. He raised a whole lot more money than I did. He can afford to do that. I, I'm not there yet. Hopefully one day. Okay, almost got the flames done. This bit in his arm gets a little tricky. Not quite sure how much of it I should do, so it's probably just going to be a little trial and error. Okay, I think I got it all. I may eventually come back and do a really dark red on this, but I may just save it whenever I go in and do glows. So I'm not quite sure if I want to approach that with knocking him out like that or not. I will knock this bit out though. Color hold, whatever your preferred lingo is. I like knockouts. Because when I first learned about this, that's what we do. We literally knock it out where we come in here, isolate it, and then uh, you know, we take it out, come in and put it into a channel. So then we'd have it in a channel. Uh, I don't have to do that anymore now that I learned this sweet clipping mask. So potentially, I'm probably not. Like I could. I did another Fantastic Four piece where, yeah, here we go. Come on, open. There we go. See, I did it in this one, but it was also actually drawn that way, so you could see the lines through, and it's pretty cool. I knew that going in. I could make her invisible here, and I may still. Uh, right now, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with this effect. Because I don't think I want to go solid white. What I may end up doing is I'll probably try and, oh, I guess I can just do it. I mean, why talk about it, right? That's what we're here for. Let's see things. So we'll just try this. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So we'll start on this side. So my thought is I'm just gonna kind of recreate some of this background look. So, and if I end up making her invisible like you suggest, I'll basically have to do the same thing where I'll put her on a layer. I'll do the background like I'm going to do here. I'm just going to try and recreate the background. Uh, Doesn't need to be exact, but I try to get it looking semi decent at least. Right. Now, kind of the concept, I'm going to do it on a layer to hopefully hopefully provide myself a little bit of wiggle room. This is trial and error here, so if I end up deleting it and redoing it, don't be surprised. So I'm going to start it here on a layer. I'm going to bring in my airbrush, but I don't want to do just a typical airbrush. You see, I don't particularly want to do that look. I like to try and, I don't know, try to maybe give it a little bit of texture, a little bit of variety. So there's a setting here on the brush. It's called dissolve. So I'm gonna try that. It may or may not work, but you see, it kind of just throws down, and in this spray pattern, it's this bunch of little dots. They're solid white. It's just the closer they are, the more intense it gets. See, he's drawn shapes, obviously. So my thought is like maybe she's forming the shield, or maybe it's breaking one or the above, one or the other. So these shapes I think will be a little more intense. Yeah, you see, it's a little more intense. Again, these will be. I'm gonna do a color hold on these. These will be just white. That it's like, why is that doing that? That shouldn't be doing that. Maybe doing a sticky key or something. Sometimes I have this weird sticky key going on that shouldn't be going on, even though sticky keys are turned off. I don't know what's it's what is going on. That's weird. Wish I knew. Wish I could figure it out and just solve that problem. It's just this little glitch that's in this Photoshop. I want clone. I want erase. Where's my erase? Yeah. See, for whatever reason, my computer is registering that control. Yeah, that's what's supposed to cause, but it's not even shift. It's registering that control is down specifically. And I use control a lot, but I also in the Windows settings I have sticky keys turned off, so it's not supposed to do that, but it does it anyway. I don't know if it's specifically a Windows problem or an Adobe problem, or they just a both problem that the way they talk to each other. See, it's like right here when I press I'm pressing Control 0. I should be totally zooming out. It's not. So it goes away. It comes in. It fades away. It just kind of got a mind of its own. And see, doing that silly. Usually when I smash my keyboard a few times, like hit a number of keys, it'll undo. But now we're back. We should be it just gets a weird little stick, man. I just don't want that black line showing up whenever I do any of the color holds. That comes from the scan. There's actually a kind of a border drawn uh, on the piece, like it was drawn on Bristol board with the guidelines, and he inked actual guidelines, which that's fine. It's not a big deal, but this is what happens sometimes when it can show off a little bit. I'm actually gonna do I'm actually gonna do a couple color holds just because there's gonna be a lot. I learned this later that you can layer your color holds, and the one on top will supersede the one on bottom, so I don't have to worry so much about these flames, which is pretty awesome. I've been using Photoshop, 20 years, and still learn some new stuff, which is pretty cool. There's just a lot of ways to do everything. Oops, there. There's really no one way to do anything. So if there are other, like, colorists doing streams or whatever, or you watch YouTube videos or whatever, there's a good chance you're going to see somebody doing it differently every single time. And that's pretty cool because I think you can pick up something from everybody, and you know even me, every now and again I'll go on the hunt, see who's posting what, if anybody, and see if I can learn a few things, and sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It's just it's just cool just seeing how other people work. I see other people and I'm like, man, I don't know how they do that. The one thing about going invisible, you need to make sure your colors go through. Go ahead. Eventually I'll move it probably like that. You see how once I move it over the lines, my my invisibility sphere kind of starts affecting the stuff behind it. Okay. We may do more with that later, but it's a good enough start at the moment for that. I think for contrast's sake, I do probably go maybe green with these guys since there's all the flames and fires and kind of orange. I think if I do go more in this direction, it'll uh it'll be a little more obvious. Think of it kind of like a, maybe like blast from a nihilus or mole man or something. And these blasts will also get a color hold. Yeah, you saw that pop up. Yeah, no, it looked really cool, man. Yeah, that should be a pretty cool one. I'm anxious to see it. I think a buddy of mine, Dave Wilkins, actually turned me on to it. He backed it, and I got the warning or something like that. And what is that? Looked pretty awesome. Looked pretty awesome. I haven't even looked at it yet. I'll have to go check that out. It's been it's been another day, bro. I kind of unplugged from a lot of like most of my email stuff just so I can concentrate on the Kickstarter stuff. And then tonight's been this evening. I ended up getting into a verbal altercation with the people that are supposed to be doing the contract work that we've been waiting on for a month, and so it kind of ruined our night because I ended up dragging my wife into it just because I was trying to avoid a verbal altercation, which I was pretty sure would happen because I'm pretty pissed off, and she was handling it, and I probably should have just kept letting her handle it, but she was unfortunately caught in the middle of the contractor and telling her stuff while I was telling her stuff, and so it ended up coming back to me, and it wasn't nice. It wasn't pretty. I'm not terribly thrilled about how it all went down, and but it turned around, and after being hung up on, laughed at and hung up on by the dude, then the owner turned around and called, and then we spoke for a good while, and I think we're at an agreement. So hopefully this nightmare process will be resolved next week because we're over it. Very, very, very much over it. Oh, here's the funny thing. We don't own the place, bro. We're renting. And we're just running point on the issue. You know, my uncle is actually the landlord, and he's actually already put money into having the contract work done. And it's just like we had questions, and the questions turned into a big thing, which is like. And then when I spoke to the owner, the owner like answered my questions. Is like that would have just saved us a whole lot of headache had the questions just been answered in the first place. But you know, it is what it is. I'm not terribly happy with myself, and it is what it is, man. I'm trying to not think about it. Though I am sitting here working on this, and it's just kind of replaying over and over and over again. That's just what I do, unfortunately, much to my constant dismay and displeasure. It is what it is. as bad as it was, it probably would have been far worse if my wife wasn't here because she definitely she definitely makes me temper my edge and keep it a little lower key. So for that, I'm grateful, but I'm still not pleased with myself. I used to be a lot worse. Um, Save, always save. Actually, I think I'll pull in more of the background color for this part. Actually, I'll probably just do that same knockout for these stones, ruins, whatever these things are. You have no idea that the layering clipping masks has saved so much time. I totally wish I knew how to do this like 15 years ago. It was probably a thing then, but I just didn't know about it. But maybe it wasn't. I don't know how recent the development was, but you don't know how much time that saves me just to be able to layer that. That is just the best ever. Maintenance was always really nice in the apartment. You're right in that regard. So I do like. We're currently in a condo. We're not in a house. We're in a condo. I do like the condo better than the apartment because I always had noisy upstairs neighbors like stomping around, and some of it I think was intentional with one group. I went through several upstairs neighbors. One of the early ones is there was a lady that lived above me, and she'd get morning ready for work every morning, and I could tell because she would wear heels. And so like 7 a.m. every single morning, right above my head in my bedroom, I'd hear the click, 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 click of her heels on the tile right by our door. The bedroom's right by the front door, and there's tile right there. So I just hear her every single morning. She'd almost invariably wake me up every single day. You know, I wasn't mad at it because she's going to work. It's just it wasn't malicious or anything like that. But I like not having to worry about that. And I had one group of neighbors. I don't know what they did. They were constantly moving furniture, and they would move furniture all times of day and night. Yes, yes. The slamming the cabinet door. Oh, well, and I had one next door neighbor, some dude. There was like three separate occasions he got into shouting shouting matches or physical altercations like outside my bedroom window at like 3 a.m. It was terrible. Like I I don't miss any of those at all. It was nice when my hot water heater was broken. I could just call the front office and they could send somebody out to fix it. Or when there was a upstairs neighbor leaked into a closet and there's mold in my closet, they came out, cut out the drywall, and replaced it all in like one day. That was really nice. If that happened, I wouldn't be in the current situation I'm in if I had somebody that could do that. But it is what it is. The trade off, I guess, is there's pluses and minuses to both. I think I'm gonna play with glows just because I don't really feel like rendering faces right now, so I'm gonna play with some glows. New layer, screen layer on the very top. Nice bright red. Color holds and glows give you what I call, not what I call, but it just gives you extra, like instant production value. Yeah, it's not even rendered. It's just a flat, and his is just kind of basic. I don't I don't feel like coloring them right now. I want to do more fun stuff. Glows and stuff would feel fun. Some days I like doing faces or in specific parts. Like, oh, I like drawing, coloring characters. Some days I'm like, I want to do anything but a character. And apparently today I want to do anything but a character because I have zero interest in working on them right now. So I'm gonna do glows and knockouts because at least then when I shut down for the evening, it will at least appear like I've done something. I don't think I'll knock Johnny out. I think I'll keep him black. It just helps pop him a little more, not get lost in there. I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna try the dissolve again, just to see how it looks on his gloves. I think it looks kind of cool. I never really used the dissolve much. I don't use it too often, but I remember the first time I ever really used it was I was coloring the first couple pages of for Wildstorm comic based on the TV show Chuck. If you remember, the was on NBC, starring Zachary Levi, who's now Shazam in the movies. They did a comic book, and I was the colorist on it. It was a cool project. It was a lot of fun. I actually really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the show quite a bit, so that was fun. And My buddy Shannon was the editor on the project. That's how I got the job. Nepotism. Nepotism gets you far in comics. But he was the editor, and he was really like, oh, I really want this to look different, like something else. Not like every comic book. So that's kind of a vague note. How do you? Okay, I got to look different. Different how? I don't know, like something else that hasn't been done. So it's just like, I don't know what that means. So I did it like I would typically do, and just like, here's this that I don't normally do. It's like, nah, that's not. And what ended up happening is, as part of backgrounds and stuff, instead of because there was not a whole lot of backgrounds drawn. There's a lot of empty panels. So part of it would, like, oh, they worked in the, it's called the Buy More. It's like Best Buy, if you ever saw the show. And but like, oh well, they're in this Buy More, but there's no there's nothing there. Like, how do you know they're in a store? It's literally like the boss in a blank panel for like this whole page. So I ended up going online and getting like shots from the show, so you'd see the Buy More, and I pasted them in and blurred them like crazy. So I mean, you just get hints of shapes in the background, and then that all comes around as I went in and did a gradient with the dissolve tool, so you get that kind of stippling effect. So wanted help break up. So like, it's not a photo; it's just kind of colored shapes. It's a there. It's out of focus in the background. So the that's the first time I ever said, and they flipped their lids like, oh, that's so cool. Like, okay. And then also the other thing we did is like, oh, I don't want it's so it looks different because we don't have any panel borders. So all the panels had drawn borders, so I had to go cut the panel borders off. Everything was solid white or solid black. That was fine. That wasn't too hard. Got a little tricky because sometimes the pages weren't scanned totally straight, so some bits of panels would get cut more than the others. It worked out. That was a fun project. I liked that one quite a bit. It was one of those things where, and it was written by the dudes that wrote the TV show, so it felt like the TV show, but they could do a bunch of stuff that you can't do on TV because they didn't have the budget for it. They went all over the world and had all these crazy set pieces. It was a lot of fun. I liked that book quite a bit. But yeah, that's when I learned kind of the dissolve tool, and first time I used it. Fun little non fact that nobody asked for. I don't know when or where I picked this up, but I like adding these, like, I don't know, sparks I guess, for lack of a better word. When I have a bunch of flames like this, and I do them on a layer first like this, and it's one of the few times when coloring I'll use one of Photoshop's kind of preset layer effects. Yeah. Screen, layer, go, outer glow. Just like before, I'm just gonna get this bright red. Might go a little more orange with it. You see what it's doing? It's just kind of makes these nice little, sparks. I don't know what else to call them. It's apt. I'm gonna make his eyes really intense. Just I think this may not work. Yeah, it's all right. Do. Hey, what's up, Tony? Think you're coming in towards the end, buddy. I think I'm about ready to call it for tonight. Go try and salvage what I can salvage. But it's all good though. I just really don't have much interest in rendering their faces and hair and just tweaking stuff right now. It's mostly fine tuning stuff right now, which I could sit here and finish. But honestly, I just don't feel like it right now. Too much going on. Go try and hang out with the missus for a little bit before you know before she's got to go to bed because wakes up super early so we can do teaching. So that's the. I used to be a night owl. I'm not so much a night owl anymore. It's kind of an early bed, early rise, whereas it used to be late to bed and late to rise. I think that's what having a kid does to you. Oh, dude, he's actually standing in the window right now. That's his back right there, Moose. See, so he's probably watching him. We think he finally got him on the mend. We had him at the vet last Wednesday again, and they gave us some meds that, as they described to me, block the nerve centers in his brain for feeling an itch. Because he had all this crazy itching that was, making him bite himself bloody and constantly scratching and in the cone of shame for nearly a month. So we got him on those meds, and we got some other like a spray to clean up the nasty spot he gnawed himself on the back. And so far everything seems to be working. He's been doing really really good. So hopefully when we run out of meds, because we only got a 2 week supply, it'll continue and it'll be over it and we won't start over. So he's been doing great. So we're just really hoping that continues because as much as he was driving us crazy with the scratching, he was miserable. So I mean, he wouldn't sleep a solid night, and he's not a this dog doesn't nap. Dogs nap all the time. This dog does not nap hardly. So he needs his nighttime sleep, and if he's awake scratching, he's not sleeping. So he was exhausted. So really, really hoping this stuff will get him kicked past all this, and he won't have to go in for round two. But he's been doing good this week. Ornery, man, he's been silly. It's been funny. He hasn't been silly in a while because all the stuff going on. So he's kind of back to his old self. So he's being silly and playful, and it's both endearing and glad to see him better. But he also does it at the probably the worst times usually. So as endearing as it is, it's also mildly infuriating. He's like, "Don't you have a better time to play than right now when I'm carrying a screaming child with a dirty diaper and everything else going on, and the phone calls and like so." But he's doing pretty good, so we're hoping he stays that way. Glad he's back to normal because he's had a long stretch of not feeling himself, and so seeing him back to himself has been really really nice and as infuriating as it used to be. So, all right, I think that's gonna do it for tonight. Hopefully, I'll manage to get stream going during the day here this week, doing a daytime stream. Not sure. We'll see. Hopefully, I'll get these pages in uh, sooner than later, and yeah, we'll just see how it goes. And I guess if I don't see you guys later this week on a stream, save. Always save. I'm saving right now. I'll probably hit you guys next Tuesday then. So have a good one. Take care, guys. Thanks for hanging out.